Good morning, YouTube. Welcome to the Reptile Barn. As promised, we're going to do a special on the Dominican Red Mountain Boas today. This is the female, little Anne. She's looking gorgeous, getting big. So I just wanted to go over what they are, some of their care, some special things about them. Just do a little special on this species. So, scientific name is Chilobothris striatus. They used to be in the Epicratis genus with the rainbow boas, but they were since moved and given their own genus. So these are from the island of Hispaniola. Other common names would be the Hispaniolan boa, the Hatian boa, and then they're also called in the trade, especially the nice red phase ones, Dominican Red Mountain Boas. That's what I think most people know them as, although back in the day, almost everyone called them Hatian boas. But as more and more of these red ones came in and started to be bred, more people started calling them Dominican Red Mountain Boas. But they're the same thing. There may be some like subspecies on the island of Hispaniola, but they're all Chilobothris striatus. So these guys are interesting. They are one of the few species that I actually think is semi-arboreal. So there's true arboreal species, green tree pythons and things that basically are always in the trees. And then there's terrestrial species like regular boa constrictors, BCIs, BCCs. These guys are semi-arboreal. And if you look at their body type, it's fascinating. They're not as obviously slender and arboreal as like an Amazon tree boa, but they're certainly not the thick-bodied, heavy-set boa constrictor like a BCI. They're kind of in between, kind of like a carpet python build. So they get long. I mean, this girl's already over 5 feet, probably 5.5 feet long, and she, even at her thickest point, she's only however big that is. So it's a decent sized snake, but certainly not thick and like a boa constrictor. They can get bigger than this. They're kind of slow growers. She's already over 5 years old, and she still has a good amount of growth left in her. She's just in the last year she's grown quite a bit. So they definitely are an interesting size and shaped as far as a boa goes. They kind of are in between the true arboreals and then the terrestrial boas. But as babies, I'd say this is the most difficult thing about this species. As babies, pretty much they don't take rodents. They want lizards, anoles or geckos or something like that. Some of them will start on like chicks or quail or something like that. But they pretty much want lizards, and not everybody is equipped to give their, if they bought a new little baby Dominican boa, not everyone's equipped to give them a gecko every 3 or 4 days. So that's the one thing about them that can be difficult. Now, many breeders just will switch them over before they sell them. You're going to pay more that way, but then at least you have a snake that's already eating rodents. And they do switch to rodents, and even in the wild, once they're adults, they eat a lot more rodents in their diet. It's just as babies, primarily they're eating anoles and things like that. They're not a very bitey species. They're not really a striky snake. They can bite. I mean, all snakes can, and they do occasionally, but the calm individuals like her, she's never bitten me. She's really calm and chill and a good handling animal. They do musk if they're really upset or stressed. She doesn't, because we handle her a lot, and so she's really socialized. But you're much more at risk of getting musked on than bitten when you are working with these species. And their bite it's not terrible. I've been bitten by the male a couple times, getting him out. He's a little cage defensive. Once he's out, he's super calm. So I would say that the best thing to do would be to maybe hook train them. So you pull them out of the cage with a snake hook, and then once they're out, usually they calm right down and don't have a problem. Yeah, so these guys come in a lot of color phases. They're not really morphs like with the ball pythons or BCIs or corn snakes or something like that. It's more that they're just really what the trade calls polymorphic. So one litter from, you know, a given male and female can have a whole range from tans and browns and reds and some like more orange pastel-y colors all in the same litter. So it's really cool that way. Obviously, the red ones, the more red you get, the more sought after they are, but the whole range is just a beautiful snake. Really unique pattern for a boa. If you want to zoom in close, they have these really triangular heads, and then the pattern is just really unique. Here, let me get her off you there. She's climbing onto my camera woman here. Anyway, so as far as housing, it's recommended that for babies, you just keep them in like tubs, like a rack system or something like that. Small enclosures where you can keep a good eye on them and that they feel secure. They need a lot of hides, a lot of foliage is good. Even as adults, you'll notice that we do not have enough foliage yet in ours. That's one of our next projects. We're going to put in lights and a lot of live plants. I've been talking about this for months, but we got to just do it because they really seem to like to climb, but they also seem to want more cover. They want to feel more secure as they're cruising around. They use their entire space. We have seen our snakes in every possible nook and corner of these cages. They use every inch of space that you will give them. So they're not just, you know, hanging out on the ground all day in one spot. They definitely use their space. And they are nocturnal, so you're going to see them a lot more in the evening than you are if you come in the day. Yeah, so they have an iridescence to them, which is one of the reasons I think that they used to be classified with the rainbow boas. I don't know if you can see it with just our little room light here, but man, when we take these guys outside, they look like there's green and blue and just incredible amounts of color that gleam off their scales. Absolutely beautiful animal. Again, there's not really morphs. I know that there is an albino in existence fairly recently. Someone's raising it up. I think in the Dominican Republic. And then there have been some calicos, those famous pictures that you may have seen going around the internet. Gorgeous calicos. I think there's maybe 3 of them. Not sure if that one's even, you know, a genetically inheritable trait. But really, you're not working with morphs when you work with this species. So some of the purists out there that really like just the naturally occurring looks to their reptiles, this is a great species because it's still very variable. You can get a lot of differences in them, but it's not like morphs where you're working with recessive traits and, you know, codominant things and all that. So yeah, that in a nutshell is the Dominican Red Mountain Boa. A few other things I would point out. They don't seem to like as hot of a hot spot as many of the other pythons and boas kept in captivity. We had ours set at, you know, like a 92-degree hot spot, and they hated it. Never used it. Always were clinging to the cold side of their enclosure. And we slowly dropped it until we got down to about 88, and then they started using their hot spot again. And doing more research, I've since found more people that have said kind of a similar thing. They just don't want as hot of a hot spot. And they certainly don't want it at night. They only really want to use their hot spot during the day. So we only give them that really extra boost of heat during the day. Oh, see, she just mussed a little bit. When she just dropped there a little bit, I wasn't dropping her, but she thought she was dropping. She spooked and she muxed me. So you can see the really gross, wet goop on my hand.
Yuck.
And it smells bad. It's not as bad. I mean, I've heard people say, like, oh, you have to basically clear out the whole room. And it stinks, but it's not, and to my nose at least, it's not that bad. But it definitely stinks. And that's really what you would be dealing with this species. Is they're really not biters. Again, it happens. They can do it. But your bigger concern is this really disgusting thing that I'm now going to go wash off my hand. Probably going to be giving her a bath tomorrow because I don't want her to stink like this musk. Anyway, so these are live bearers. The females can have anywhere from 12 to 25 babies. I've heard of even more than that, although I would think that, you know, this being her first breeding season, it'd be more on the 12 end. And hopefully she has a healthy litter for us. They do tend to breed better in groups, and we only have a pair. Most people do, 2 males with 4 or 5 females at a time. It's not quite like breeding the ball pythons, But these guys, they put them in a group for 2 weeks and then separate them all for at least a week, try and feed them. Many of the females will keep eating for at least the first part of their pregnancy. Lots of the males will go off feed. But we only have a pair, so hopefully they still will lock up for us and breed. If they do, we should get a litter, next summer at some point. That's the goal. So we will be cooling their temperatures here this month and next month, starting to pair them together in December, all the way through February or March, and we'll see. We'll see how we do. We'll keep track of their weight, make sure they don't lose. That's what happened last winter. We decided the male was just losing a bit too much weight. So we decided to stop breeding them really early. We only bred them a few times. But this winter, they're much bigger. They should be good to go. And we are excited to hopefully get our first litter of Dominican Red Mountain Boas. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Go ahead and comment down below. And until next time, we're the Reptile Barn.